Hey, yeah, everybody. It is Last Raider, and we are back today talking about the comic book industry, unfortunately, because some people just don't. Oh, man, it's amazing the lack of self awareness that comes out of comic book creators nowadays, at least what we call comic book pros. You have here a tweet from Richard Pace. At the core of the comics piracy thing, what upsets me the most is people taking the time and effort to make the files shareable for seemingly no personal benefit. Pirates in the real world at reap what? Dude, editor, at least reap some benefit from theft. These assholes just hurt the creators they're robbing. And no. If piracy was a difficult thing, I mean, Red versus Blue wouldn't have been as popular as it was. Okay, Red versus Blue built up on popularity, and then they began producing unique products that you had to buy afterward. They figured out eventually how to monetize the whole thing. Red versus Blue was you were on a website, and the Red versus Blue episodes would come out earliest days of Rooster Teeth, back when they were actually cool and run by people who just wanted to animate. And they created the whole machinima genre, pretty much created their own genre of entertainment. And what ended up happening is there are people who will go out and buy all of the Red versus Blue series and will watch it. They'll pay $60 to $100 for Red versus Blue. I think I paid $30 for season 3 of Red versus Blue, I believe, at one point in time. But I mean, there's an action. When Richard here is talking about no personal benefit, you can actually make this work for you. Piracy is not something that's going to hurt you. Mind you, Richard Pace and a lot of these comic pros are bitching about piracy because Comicsgate is kind of proving them wrong. Okay? They're trying to say now that piracy is a big thing. Oh, God, people are pirating all these Marvel comics and everything else. They're pirating all these DC comics. No. Okay? We're not, no one's pirating that stuff. In my opinion, I've never seen a DC pirating site. I've never seen a Marvel pirating site. And honestly, if you're going to say pirating is a problem, what about the manga industry? I mean, literally, your comic book industry, Western comics, like, oh my God, pirates are taking our stuff and ruining our profits. Japan looks over. Pirates, how do we quickly, people in the office, how do we leverage our pirates to make more money? That's all they care about, and they have done so. And the reason why this works is, like I said, you build a fan base up by people finding books. It also is the same concept with ebooks. If you ever look at ebook productions and a lot of business models, ebook writers, if they do a series, say you have a set of fantasy novels, like fantasy novel 1, 2, and 3, they'll put the first novel at almost zero or at about $1 or 99 cents, or they'll just give it away for free. And some people say, well, wait a minute, why would you give away the first book for free? Because it's this old-fashioned salesman trick of free samples. Okay? They give you the first epic book for free. You get hooked on the epic fantasy, and then you want to know what happens in the other 2 books. When in reality, if the book is at full price, you probably never buy it in the first place. But also, let's talk about what the real problem with Western comics is right now. The real problem is it's not piracy is causing the problem. It's not Comicsgate causing problems. It's the fact of people like Richard Pace have gone out there, and he's attacked fans. He's attacked people who are potential customers and just run them off, calling them toxic, calling them, misogynist, sexist, homophobic nonsense, all the SJW terminology. Let's also take into consideration now there's a movement of SJWs trying to turn Spider-Man gay. Iceman's become gay. Let's see. Carol Danvers is transitioning at the moment into Carl Bambers. Not to mention, She's going in there with a scientific power, taking on taking on Thor and beating him. Who Thor has mystical powers. Okay, that's actually what's happening now. And I mean, shit. What all could you possibly throw out there? There's shit tons of stuff that has gone over the years. Most of it, I can't even pull it out because it gets clogged up in the memory port. But I mean, you've got characters who are complaining about patriarchy and all this stuff. You have politics just slamming people every time they open a book. And then on top of that, you write these shit poor political propaganda comics, and then you give 20 or 30 issues per variant cover, mind you, 7 or 8 variant covers to a comic shop. Now, if you're a customer going in there, just the variant aspect of it, if I'm a customer going in there and I look and I see 7 variant covers and I look through each one of these and they're the same comic book, and there's a bunch of these comics still sitting up there that hasn't been sold, that doesn't entice me that the product is worth anything. You would actually have done much better and impressed me more if you put only 20 comic books up there and it looked like they had sold out. Because if it's sold out, it must be worth something. The problem is Marvel saturates a shelf so much that by the time people buy just a certain set of the comics, they're trying to put as many comics out there. Also, you should watch. There is a video by Razor Fist. I can't remember what it is, but he actually talks about how comic books, the thing that messes him up about the 90s, economic wise, not story wise. The 90s was probably one of the best story writing arcs for a very long time for Marvel. It's what made Marvel and a lot of comic companies nowadays. A lot of great characters like Spawn were made in the 90s. But he made the assumption, he said economically, he said that comic shops would take, like Superman 1, The Death of Superman, for instance. They would put one issue in a long box for someone to find. And they do this with all of them. And what would happen is, like, a person would find, oh my God, I found the Death of Superman book. They buy it. Then he'd tell them to go into the back where they had this long box of Death of Superman, and they put it right back in the same spot so someone else would find it later, and they would sell it at an exuberant price. How could they do that? Because of, and to quote Razor Fist, they were rare, or they looked rare. It made the person buying it think it was a rare comic book, and it was an event that happened. It was a famous event. This person had probably heard about it, so they up and bought the rare comic book, or what they thought was a rare comic book. Marvel is not attempting to even create the facade of rarity. They are oversaturating the market and blatantly doing so. All right? So, I mean, today it's comic book piracy. Tomorrow it's going to be, I don't know. Tomorrow it'll be Rule 34 of comic book characters. That's why they don't sell. Okay, we're putting too many Luids of Rogue and Jean Grey out there. I mean, God, I could go so far with that, but YouTube would be so pissed if I did. Anywho, I am the Last Raider, folks. Tell me what you think about this nonsense coming out of Marvel right now, or at least coming from comic book pros. Do you think comic book piracy is a problem? Do you think it is? It's probably not as much of a problem. Maybe actually helps things. I think it kind of goes the way of Napster. Okay, Napster sold more. Napster was responsible in the 90s for selling more music than it was for harming the music industry. But tell me what you think in the comments. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button because, dear God, and I put videos out as often as I can. I am the Last Raider, folks. Keep your head on a swivel and stay frosty, and I'll see you guys in the next video.